It's always a pleasure to be here. See, it's funny because I don't know, as you're trucking around for a while, it's quite normal. Yeah. The state is sort of normal in a way. You're not having uh if there's a peak experience, you're not that interested in it. So there's just it's just a very interesting space. So to come and sit down, it's sort of like having what was like the Seinfeld theme was it was every show was about nothing. Basically, this is a spiritual Seinfeld show. Every meeting is about nothing. You know what I mean? And because if you hear the message of non-duality, I don't know if maybe other people emphasize different things, but the premise roughly is being ourselves reality. So being isn't a future condition or a past condition, it's present, yes? Being ourselves reality. The greatest mystery is reality appearing as Paul and Jim and Bill and Judy wanting to attain reality. Yeah. And the only way the wanting to attain reality makes any sense, it makes sense to Paul, Judy, Bill, and Steve. It doesn't make sense to reality, obviously, because reality is reality, and therefore there's not much more to attain when it comes to reality. Yeah. So if you hear that statement, that's sort of how it triggered in me. It wasn't, I didn't think a second or about reality. I thought about this idea of Paul, because I would say Paul is sitting atop reality in a sense. And basically all the interest and attention is bundled up with this idea of Paul, and there's a lack of interest and attention to our condition, our real condition. And it's sort of like in AA we talk about we lose interest in self, and one of the things you start feeling is, you want to call it God consciousness. You just start feeling, let's say, empty consciousness. And in this dreaming, what was causing that not to be obvious, hey, bro, what was not to be obvious was the conscious contact with this idea of Paul. So the conscious contact with this idea of Paul makes us seemingly unconscious to our own nature. Yeah. So, and the elevated conscious contact with Paul, that obsession with Paul, that adhering to that idea of Paul in duality has another effect, which is that which is so seems not to be so. And that which is presenting to be so becomes the only so. Yeah. Can only happen in dreaming. It can only happen in time. It can't move anything that's already in place. It can't bring anything to take the place of that. Yeah. So we are that reality. But here in the dreaming, you can take yourself not to be that. Yeah. And so, and this is the dilemma they're talking about. Non-duality is a solution to an imaginary problem in a way, because being ourselves reality, there's absolutely no problem with being ourselves reality. Yeah. We don't have to be more ourselves reality or whatever. Being ourselves reality. The problem is a seemingly so. It appears to us to be true. Yeah. So, and a lot of things appear to us to be true, but they're not true. Like in recovery, we use acronyms a lot, and they used fear, F-E-A-R, to mean a lot of things. And one of them is false evidence appearing real. So fear is false evidence appearing real. Now, most people would think about things that come and go are false evidence that appear real. And then another thing that's false appears real. But in fact, we're seeing from a point of false evidence appearing real. The identification of the subjectiveness of this event with an object is the essence of non-duality, or the essence of duality. Yeah. So we are looking at everything from a false evidence appearing real. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're looking for no thing from the perch of a thing. And the fact is, the thing is a non-existent thing. It's an appearance. The existence that's appearing seemingly through the thing is not the thing. Yeah. The thing is a non-existent thing. Yeah. And then it seems to be an existent thing because the head mixes up the subjective experience with the object that it's being had through. Yeah. So the subjective experience is having an experience of everything through an object, but the head has it as the object is that which is having the experience. Yeah. Yeah. And see, a dog is an object and pretty much an object. And it actually, this is why we're very envious of dogs, because they don't have that much subjectivity going on. They're not going over, am I a good dog? Should I be a better dog? And, have I lost the ability to play? They're not going through anything. They're not dwelling on the past or the future. They're a dogging, and it's attractive to us because it would be yeah, that adherence to the idea that the object is the subject is the bondage of self, so to speak. Yes. So this is what non-duality is negating. It's not arguing with it because you don't need to argue with shadows. You just have to move away, and then the shadow will seem to move. Yeah. So you're just seeing something which has been presented through the message of non-duality. A lot of it is based on this idea of duality. And what is the essence of duality, of the duality we're seeing, is the duality that it's being projected from. Because we are the dreaming of the dream, and the body is actually the projector that the dreaming is being projected through. We believe we're the dreamt, we believe we're the reality, and we're having an experience, and we only dream at night, so to speak. Yeah. But in fact, you and I are the dreaming of the dream, and that the projector or how it gets projected is this object. This is sort of the set of lenses that allow that experience to occur. But we think the lens is having the experience. It's sort of like looking through a telescope and believing the telescope is seeing the stars. Yeah. The telescope facilitates seeing the stars. We're seeing the stars. The telescope has never saw a star, and it's never gonna see a star. Yeah, it's a telescope. So the body is inanimate in a way, unless I amness or existence illuminates it. Yeah. So the body, you've had experiences. I've had them. Seeing someone that I knew as a living thing, and then seeing the dead body and having a very quick whack that dead body wasn't a living thing. So there was living, and it wasn't the thing. There was living that I was seeing through a thing, and I took the thing to be that which was living. Yeah, gets passed on. And then you notice if you see something, if you see the body and recognize that wasn't Uncle Fred when it's dead, maybe down the road in hindsight, because I was only 9 years old at that point, but later down the road with this understanding, I realized why I kept seeing Uncle Fred as the body, because I was looking from Paul as being from the body. Yeah. So as here, so there. Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people get clear on there, but they're not clear on here. So they're super clear, but they're not clear about what's who or what is super clear. Yeah. So the super clarity doesn't, to me, it doesn't have much value. If that clarity of what's the object and what's not the object, yeah, what's the non-existent thing and what's the existence, yeah, if that isn't clear, I don't care about great knowledge or afterwards. Yeah, because it's going to be claimed and reinforce the inherent problem, which is the dreamt taking itself to be a reality. Yes. Yeah. So non-duality really, I felt like all the evidence had been taken in. It just hadn't been collated correctly. And then non-duality collated it, and it made total sense. And then a lot of shit that seemingly naggingly kept going on stopped. Yeah. And the greatest effect, which I didn't see coming, was there was a loss of interest. Yeah. Because all the times I was studying other topics, it was really because I was interested in me getting something from those topics. Then I lost interest in that me. And then I lost interest in the topics. I did, because the topics were really being used as a mirror to see me. Yeah, dreaming of a bigger, better me. Once I lost interest in me, I lost interest in all of these. I am not gonna, I use this example because it was so obvious. The first year I got sober, I had vague memories of the best time of my life, and that was when I was sober, like from 20 to 24, under probation, but also I wanted to know God. And that was sufficient enough to motivate me not to drink or use that much. I had a couple of Heinekens maybe in 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it was amazing. When I got sober again, I remembered that, and I figured that's the best way to live, would be like a spiritual way. And so this lady said to me, there's this huge event happening in Mount Shasta. If you don't know about Mount Shasta, there's a lot of supposedly ascended masters in the clouds above it. It's like Gem City. There's tons of gems and fucking everything there. And it's a trippy area. It is. And incredible formations go around the mountain. So she said they're going to have a giant sweat up there, like a Native American Indian sweat. I said, sure. And I took my old truck. I had an old Chrysler station wagon. I drove it up there. The Chrysler station wagon was so big, I could put a futon in there and a dresser in the back. So it was pretty comfortable. So I drove up, and and they were building these whole big sweats with the whatever they use, the cedar or something. There's supposed to be special woods and everything. And they had an Indian from Oklahoma, and there was a lot of people there, and a lot of people that are really into this. And when people would drive up in a Harley, they would be like stars of this circuit of sweats all around the country. And oh, Big Bob has shown up, and everyone. It was like the Super Bowl of sweats, and I had no idea. So there's like 400 people there, a lot of people. And so, so they had the first sweat. I went in there, the flaps open, and I'm standing up because there was no one really place to sit. And they got the rocks, and they're super steamed up. And then there was an assistant, and then an Indian, and they were getting ready with the water and the herbs. And then the flap goes down completely black. And I try to sit down. I can't sit down. There's so many people in there. So I'm standing up, holding the rafters like when you used to be on the subway in this New York City, and because there's no room to sit. And then suddenly these waves of heat start hitting me. They start hitting me, and they ended up burning my underarms and my nostrils, my ears. It was just terrible. And I would have done anything to get out, but I didn't want to leave early because I would have been the talk of the whole fucking weekend. Yeah. So my spiritual pride, I'll fucking, I'll shrink. I don't care. I'm not going. And I was just praying, stop throwing more water on these rocks. Yeah. And they just kept throwing it. Finally, they end, and everyone rushes out, and I rush out, jump in the stream, and it's really, really cool. And then the next thing, I sat right next to the flap. But so years later, one of my people I was working with in AA got involved in the Native American Indian stuff, and they were going to have a sweat up in this town, Petaluma. And they brought an Indian from Oklahoma out, which is unbelievable. What do you find in the yellow pages or whatever? And there was like 12 people going to go there. I had absolutely no interest in going there, but I had interest in supporting my friend Christian. So we all go there, and there's the dog got out. Somebody let it out. So, so, so they set it up and they've got food and everything outside, and we go into the sweat, into the thing. And as soon as I feel hot, I left. I just started feeling hot, which was uncomfortable. I left. I immediately left. I went outside, beautiful starlit night, and all the Calistogas and the food was there, and I could hear them praying and moaning, and I was just kicking back. What happened to me from the first sweat to that time? Yeah. What happened? I didn't, swear off of sweats. I didn't specifically target, I'm never going to be in a sweat again. I had just lost complete interest in any kind of getting better in a certain way, because I humbly felt I got the message, which is I'm looking for salvation for the non-existent thing. Yeah. And that just stopped me in my tracks. It made sense if I was looking for salvation as the existing Paul, but it had switched, and I really got that I was the non-existent thing, and it made no sense at all to go ahead and keep attempting to try to get salvation for it. It didn't. It ended completely. Never been on a sweat again. I have nothing to do with sweats. I don't care. They're beautiful ceremonies. I'm using it as an example. And this is what happens, is one of the ways you're going to see the emperor with no clothes as the seeker is when the seeking stops. Yeah. When you lose interest in the seeking, now your eye isn't going to be directed forward. It's going to stop and linger, and you're going to check shit out. And if you listen to non-duality, hey, stop. When you listen to non-duality, yeah, you're gonna have an interest, in a sense, a well-directed interest, not in things for the non-existent thing, but at the non-existent thing. You're gonna check it out. And then basically there's not 30 bells, there's maybe 4 or 5, but then your own recognition starts ringing those bells. You start realizing the seeker is the sought, S-O-U-G-H-T. The seeker is the sought. And then usually it gives you the past comparison, which was the seeker and all these different sorts. So basically the how it was presented was there was always going to be me. I'm the seeker. That's the one stable thing. Then the act is pretty stable, which is seeking, but the sort changes. So it's always there's the seeker seeking the sort, and the sort can change, but the seeker fucking never changes. Yeah. That made more sense to me, because I had been changing the sort quite a lot. I sought through drugs, I sought through this, I sought through that, but there was very rarely a looking at the seeker. Yeah. So when I started losing interest in the seeking, the emperor was seen with no freaking clothes on. Yeah. Because the clothes were the seeking. It has no clothes, but through the seeking, it was always robing itself. Yeah. And then making it so noble and shit to go to the next sort. Yeah. I had no idea that was going on. Then I had the idea it was going on. And this is what occurred. The bell would ring, and then the old music would be explained. The bell would ring, and then I realized the statement, the seeker is the sought. Yeah. Which is the way I was presenting it. It was the seeker and the many sorts. Yeah. And I would hope for all the sorts to produce one effect, which was a betterment of me, let's say. Yeah. And they all seemed to fail. And I just moved from one sort to another sort. I never got the equation, the falsity of the equation. The head would just change the sort. Yeah. It would be this sort, something wouldn't work, that sort, that sort. And you can see it in non-duality. The message is pretty much simple, but you try to hear it from 30 fucking different people. And after a while, you have so many ingredients in the pot, it's been diluted in a sense. Yes, in a weird way. So the seeker is the sought. Where's time there? If you're something and you're seeking something else, it's going to take time. Yeah, which is the expanse of seeking. But the seeker not being the sought, there's going to be time taken to arrive at the sought. Yeah. So the seeker and the sought is a lot of time and space. The seeker is the sought, compresses the time and space. It negates it like that. So right now, when the head is telling you you're already completely fully clothed, but now you're going to disrobe for a second and then clothe yourself again to seek something else, you see it with no clothes. Yeah. It's better than 500 pages of a book. You just see it in your own little situation. You start, the bells of non-duality start ringing and the echo continues. And when it's almost like sonar, it goes out and it pings misunderstandings. It just hits it and ping, ping, ping. And then all of the basic misunderstandings in the books of non-duality that explained you were living as that, those misunderstandings. And now it's not an intellectual, or you're not the observer of the water, but you never dive in. No, you recognize it. You've recognized the futility of using what you are to find what you are. You get it. Yeah. And what happens? All those times, all those clocks of the head and everything stop. Yeah, and it's a pause. Even in recovery, we have what you call a pause, P-A-U-S-E. You finally, the whole thing stops. You don't stop because in one sense, you are the stop and the movement. You're beyond it all. But that which never stops, stops. It pauses. The seeking, the thinking, the da-da-dee-dee, yes, the on and onness of stuff stops. And then there's something that's there. So what was there? So what you thought was there was all this movement. And then when it stops, the there itself is the here. Yeah. The here-ness is the space of all this stuff. Yeah. All the stuff, there's a loss of interest in it because it collapses. It doesn't move for a second or two. And there you are. And then you're not entertaining yourself as a non-thing, You're finally seeing the non-thing from a real non-thing. Yeah, you're not seeing it from a thing, trying to go, because this hit me very quickly one day when I was doing the Course of Miracles, or I was involved with people that were into it very much. And it became obvious the body was the big obstacle, however you wanted to put it. And I said, I've got to target that, all the while taking myself to be a body. This was the joke, but I didn't see it that way. I still, as a body, thought I was an exempt special body. Yes. So who was going to outbody any body that it ever could have been in. So I was chanting this thing, I am not a body. I am free. I am just as God created me, something like that. And I would read this lesson and dwell on it quite a lot. Then after about a week or so, I realized the only thing that would chant it's not a body is a body identification, because everything that's not a body knows it's not a body. The only thing that doesn't know it's not a body is a body identification. So why the hell am I chanting I'm not a body? It makes no fucking sense. Bammo, and it never chanted again. Yeah. This is how it can. You're not going to plan it's a memorial. It's going to pass like that. It's going to die like that. It's not a long drawn out. It's a sudden like that a lot of the time. The downloads are very, very quick. And the futility doesn't add another link to that chain. You've had enough of the necklace. You've seen it. Yeah. And it just stops. Yeah. And what happens? Obviously, find out, really. What I found out was there's a lot of interest and attention, which is really the act of this event, more so than anything that does the act is the interest and attention of it. And all that interest and attention that could be called around this sort of was sent and owned by these mental activities. So even though you knew that well was dry, you went through the process of going to the fucking well every day and trying to get some water from it, and then acting like you were surprised when no water came up. Yeah. And it was just a lot of interest and attention getting dispersed from here, which would be the presence of what you really are while you're living this animated event called Paul. The presence, not your presence, which is manufactured, but the presence of the I am. Yeah. The I am is there, but an interest and attention is sort of necessary. If that's all dispersed, the I am, the most dominant, will be not even noticed, because your interest or attention will be completely consumed with all these mental activities. Yeah. Because they're always presented as you, about making a better you, about getting away from the better you and all this. And this shit's going to come to an end. You know, you're going to lose interest in it. Now, does the activity of it come to an end? No. The selfing continues. That which is playing God keeps trying to play God, but it's lost a big part of the audience. It just has. Yeah. It's not getting the manufacturing consent that it needs. It's just not. The interest and attention has been withdrawn, not through a struggle or a fight, but through disinterest. You've just lost interest in, which is its death knell, really. It loves you to be in a fight with it. It would go 12 rounds, wrestle you. It loves you to see it as the only thing that has to be destroyed for you to open up into the 11th dimension. You know, that relevance it's like gourmet food to it. What kills it is irrelevance. Yeah. You just lose interest in it. It dies, it shrinks up from lack of interest. Yes. Every balloon is probably going to lose air. That's what it does. Yeah. And when you keep blowing it up, you're going to see it shrink. Yeah. Just like they saw the Wizard of Oz, when he came out behind the curtain, he was a small little fucking dude. And so the same explosions that seemed so unbelievably loud when they hadn't seen him, now they don't seem so loud anymore, though they're the same explosions. Why? Same explosions, same amount of TNT, but the effect and the sound of it has totally changed because you saw the fucking wizard. Yeah. The same thing with this. You've seen the emperor, and the emperor has no clothes. Yeah. The seeking is its robe. Its wardrobe is seeking, having, losing, this, surrendering, taking it back. It's constantly putting more ensembles together, because the last thing it wants you to see is the emperor has no clothes. Yeah. Because it's like the wizard behind the curtain is seen in front of the curtain. All its fireworks don't have the same effect on you anymore. Why? It's the same amount of TNT, same amount of sound, but you, as the audience, isn't buying it anymore. Yeah? Yeah. So you travel lighter. As this. What do you think awareness wants to be aware? It doesn't need to be aware. Where there seems to be a lack of awareness, that's where the value of awareness is. So if you could see that this isn't the real condition, and now you're trying to become awake from an unawake state. Yeah. The underlying fact is awakeness. Awakeness is it. All of whatever gets shown or appeared would have to have awakeness to be shown or appearing. Yeah. So awakeness is a fact. Now here you can be awake to that fact, or you can be asleep to that fact. It just doesn't change the fact. See, this is what, so awakeness doesn't become another thing you chase and another thing, all right, I've had a little, I want more. It's no, just like Ramana said, he said, people thinking you're going to have a realization, it's always realized. It's always realized. That's the realization. The realization you're looking for is that the realization is always realized. Yes? So the experience of being awake tells you it's all there is awakeness. It's not like I'm going to work and build on this experience and become more awake. No, that's the claiming of the awakeness as something that you can acquire and you can lose. Again, you are the primary point once again. Yeah. So this isn't something that you achieved. You may have arrived there, but everyone hasn't left. So when you think like when people get sober, they think there should be a parade. The normal people say, fuck you. You shouldn't have been drinking what the hell you were drinking. You think everything should stop, and because you've chosen to give up what you loved, that no, it's most people are giving up shit every day. Yeah. So this point is being ourselves reality. What's that going to put into stark contrast? All your heads attempting to become reality. And if the underlying fact is being ourselves reality, the desire and the drive and the actions to become reality are actually being used to deny the fact that you're reality. They're not affirming it. We think we're becoming more real or whatever it is, but it's actually be using to deny the fact that we are reality. Yeah. And this, I feel, is the made like you know those things where the animal would walk in and it's like a noose, it tightens up and their leg gets stuck. Yeah, this is one of the main big ones I find. Yeah. It's this, when you are already that which you're looking for a lot of stuff's going to come under investigation. It just is. Yeah. It just is. Yeah. So if you want, it's in the book with Raman where he talks about the lady with the necklace, but he talks about that it's always realized. So there's not you arriving at a realization. There's a loss of interest in you, and then the realization is that it's always realized. Yeah. So basically, it's disarming. It's not disarming and you put the tools you've been using down and then get more sophisticated tools. No, it's a disarming. Yeah. It's not like you disarm. First of all, you got to disarm to get new arms. No, it's not like you're going to get bigger, better ways of transcending. It's a disarming. The whole idea of that which needs to be liberated isn't you. So you get liberated from that idea that you need to be liberated. And it's a great liberation. And then once that little thing is recognized, then all the things that are like it get recognized and they start whacking each other like dominoes. Yeah. And then really, there is nothing that's obscuring anything. It's our interest and attention is just stopping at a lot of misunderstandings and filling up all that space. And when you move through the misunderstandings, then the space seems clearer and cleaner. But the misunderstandings were never blocking anything. Yeah. We just believed they were. Yeah. And when you lose that interest in you, that you can do all this shit, that you can block yourself off from the sunlight of the spirit, to me, that's totally insane. Because how can the sunlight of the spirit is issuing from where you are? It's not issuing from somewhere else. You're not. Yeah. It's issuing where you are. So what could block the sunlight of the spirit could only be a misunderstanding of the sunlight of the spirit. Yeah. What could block the sunlight of the spirit is if you misunderstood and thought the sunlight of the spirit was somewhere else, and therefore I'd have to remove everything that was blocking it for the sunlight, the spirit to hit me. I believe you're the sunlight of the spirit. So those obstacles are not defined as obstacles, just like the clouds can be defined as something that's going to block you off from the sun if you're in a certain location. If the sun is here and the clouds are here and you're here, the clouds have now been given the ability to block you off from the sun. Yeah. They have been given ability, not because the clouds did not grab that ability, they were given it. The clouds are just clouds. From your position, you give the clouds the ability to block you from the sun. What would happen? And then you try all these fucking things. Let's wish and pray it'll be a clear, sunny, and then the day it's always a fucking cloud appears. And then you have to sit in that sense of powerlessness you don't want to feel, and on and on and on and on. Much easier is to see maybe you're not here and maybe you're on the sun side. Now, will you ever, if you're on the sun side, would you ever be able to entertain the clouds or blocking you from the sun? No freaking way. None of it would ever get any traction. It could never take off, the idea, because it would be obvious you're on the sun side. You still see the same clouds, but you're not seeing them from another position. Yeah. And those clouds, not 1 second are you going to believe they could obstruct you from the sun. It's not going to happen. It's just been washed clean. Yeah. Now, if you take yourself to be that, and that had a peak experience and swore one day that clouds can never block me off from the sun, but now is back here again and keeps saying that clouds can never block me off from the sun, but they're fucking white as hell. They're super pale because they're not getting any sunlight. And this story doesn't work. Yeah. But if you see you're not that, and then when the story that you are that gets replayed, you don't buy it. You don't dance with it. Yeah. And then you realize this idea of selfing is going to continue, but I don't have to be beholden to it. Yes. So that which is playing God continues to play God, but it's not playing God on you anymore. Yeah. It's attempting to play God, but you're seeing it, let's say from God, so to speak. Yeah. So, yeah. This is what makes me excited about this message for 20, 30 years now. It truly ends up in the chapter of the Course of Miracles. We need do nothing. Yeah. We need do nothing. And then the Course of Miracles, you ever read that chapter, it talks about people who meditate and contemplate and purify and do this, and all of that's going to work and eventually. Yeah, because you're going to get exhausted. But the quicker matter is realizing that you need do nothing. And then it's sort of like being on the sun side when the topic of clouds appeared. You can talk a lot about clouds, but you're not going to be listening to, they can block me off from the sun. You're not a believer in that. Yeah. Yeah. So. I think we should do like a tour of garages. We'll have it the garage satsang tour. Yeah. Just as, you don't have to hear it in a nice room with flowers and shit. It's nice, but you don't have to. Who sets up the room? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone, Judy?
Jamie has his hand up. You just need to unmute Jamie.
I recently discovered Douglas Harding. And
where is he?
yeah, he lived to be 98.
Wow.
Incredible.
I remember he was alive when I heard about it.
Yeah, I've read some of his stuff. It's a little bit deep. It's hard to get through, but I kind of get the general gist. I just wondered if you could riff on that a little bit, just talking about him.
I don't know. I don't
what he,
remember much of it. I only read on having no head.
go ahead, yeah.
And I liked it was a very slick move he fell on. And then his exercises I liked a lot. If you're interested in him, it would be good to be introduced to the exercises.
Okay, yeah.
Because it will give you a sudden hit of certain things, and they're very simple to do. I think people hold little, like a day seminar where they go through the exercises that he offered. Yeah.
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 I noticed that. I noticed in one of his readings, he talked about the parasite.
Oh, yes. Did he? Well,
Yes,
good.
he did. And I can't remember the exact, but it was very similar to what you say
Yeah.
about
I
the
got the
parasite.
parasite idea when I was in well, the parasites are the idea's been out there, but I remember I had to speak at an AA meeting in Petaluma, north of here, a noon
Yeah,
meeting. And, you know, I a lot of what's happened with me has been through understanding.
of course.
It may have taken years for me to be brought to the understanding, but when I got there, it was sort of like the that big door that opened usually had an understanding written on it. Yeah. So the understanding was the entrance into somewhere. So I wanted through communication get something across to people who were in my community, addicts and alcoholics. And so I presented the idea of a parasitical movement. And then people would always say, well, it's not a parasite. I said, I didn't say that. It's a parasitical movement. It has you can't take a picture of it, but it has the characteristics of a parasite in nature, where a parasite needs a host to fulfill the parasite's agenda, so to speak. For a lot of them, it's to reproduce. Yeah. So you can go all around nature and see. There's a famous one they discovered. They have a nickname for toxo, but it's a long name, and it's a parasite in something in a lot of mammals. And the weirdest thing with this little parasite thing is it can only reproduce in the intestines of a cat. That's an incredible fucking challenge. Could you imagine some game show with that? You just would have walked out or slimed out. Yeah. But here it is, confronted with this. How the hell I'm in this mouse's or rat's body. How the hell am I going to get into the cat's intestine? Pretty daunting challenge. But then it would jack into the brain of the rat and tell the rat, if you see any cats, and I'm going to give you a box of utensils, knives and forks, run up to those cats in plain daylight. And they have videos of that happening. And then the cats would eat the rat. And then the parasite got to its destination. And then it would shit and and there we went, a whole nother lineage of that parasite to go in to try to get somehow into other mammals. Yeah. Now, and everyone in the New Age, when I was in the New Age period with the health, everything was the most scared of parasites. Like when you traveled to India, so parasites, even though we're living the whole role of a parasite host all day. That's why I think we had those fears. They were misplaced, but there was really a sense of something was going on where we are. And so there's tons of different parasitical movements that have their own techniques, but they take over the hardware of the host and use it for transportation. Yeah. And it sounds very similar to people who get taken over by addiction and alcoholism, to me. Very similar. So that's when I started to use it. And
Yeah, I love that metaphor.
yeah, I've been using it ever since because it worked. And basically, you're just looking for some way to communicate. The thing you want to communicate in addiction is it's foreign to them.
Right.
It's foreign to us because part of the bondage is guilt and shame that you carry on you as this action figure based on shit you think you did while under the influence, where while you were under the influence, you were quite powerless over the parasite, and the parasite used you to act out through. And that this stubborn misunderstanding that we're the doer of no matter whatever comes through us binds us to a long past. Some people haven't drank or used for 36 years, yet they're still held by the past with guilt and shame based on being the doer of shit. I lost a lot of interest in that. So that's what motivated us to start really talking. And then this was a sideshow, the non-duality.
Yeah, the one Douglas Harding book that I read talks about no stress, basically living through what is, but like not trying to argue with what is. That was basically his whole message in the whole book.
Well, I don't think that's something you do. I believe that's an effect you'll express.
Yeah, true.
I don't believe, see, that to me is what doesn't work, when that you're going to be the determiner of the condition. This is what drives me crazy, because the head will make an invitation into an order all the time, or there'll be a description and you'll think it's an order that you have to do something. This is how the head I watch responds, or reacts. And mostly what people are trying to do is going to be something that will be expressed by changes that they're not going to be the marshal of or anything like that. Yeah. So this is the beauty, I feel, of non-duality. You're not laying on the operating table pointing out to the doctors what they should be doing and da. Yeah, you just lay on the operating table. Don't get up. Don't play doctor, and things will reveal themselves. Yeah, and in this case, it's undeniable when the bell of I am gets hit, the timbre and the way it resounds and echoes. There'll be no need to try to be convinced of anything about the I am. Yeah. So it's just discarding all the interest and attention that's been habitually drawn to Paul at the expense of the I am. Yeah. When you lose interest in Paul, that interest and attention is going to rest in the I am.
Yeah, he talks a lot about that being that no thing. Douglas Harding talks a lot about not being that no thing.
Yes.
Not being a thing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I find that you'll find out. We just like to stress you're not a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing will entertain enjoying not being a thing. You have to see the basic mechanicalness of how the head works. Whatever is brought about by contact by us, by consciousness, is going to be claimed, and the head is going to use it to reinforce its confirmation bias that there's a you that did it or is going to be done to by it. Yeah, that you didn't come up with it. Yeah, it's mechanical. The system, like it's sort of like an amoeba moves, or if you go to a spider, if you get close to it, it moves. It senses you and moves. Well, the same thing. The head gets triggered by the conscious contact, claims it to reinforce and support the narrative that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah. So trying to change that is usually driven by the long-lasting, independent, separate idea of being a thing. Yeah. So that which is attempting to get out of it is that which you are not in, so to speak. So you see this, and then there's a loss of interest in that, and then the stocks of guilt and shame drop considerably. Less trading and yeah. And this is why you get so convinced of the message, is by the relief that it brings about. not hope, relief. Not hope, relief. And that to me is the great convincer here. If something works, it works. Yeah. And like for me, recovery works to the point where the problem does not exist for you. Now that to me is worthy of the word solution. Yeah. And I believe non-duality is not even a solution. It corrects the idea that there's any need for a solution, because there isn't any problem in a sense. Yeah. Doesn't mean you don't address problems in time and space as the action figure, but ultimately there is no problem. Yeah, this is all going to disappear as if it never happened, just like yesterday. Yeah, all your yesterdays aren't going to make it more happening than the one yesterday. Pile every yesterday upon each other doesn't convince you that it's actually happened, just disappears. That's what Harding was saying on having no head. Yeah, he was looking at his body and shit, and then he realized he couldn't see anything. He didn't see a face, he didn't see a head. So he said, hey, on having no head. And he realized there's just this idea that everything stops here where there's nothing here and everything's just flying through. Yeah, so it was a very nice little thing. And then he had a ways of showing you weren't the head with a whack. And it was quite nice, quite nice. And I liked the way the guy sounded, how he wrote, but I didn't have enough room to go see him. He was in England, I think, before he passed away.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Yeah. I'm not doing him justice. I mean, I'm not a studier of Douglas.
Well, I understand that. Yeah.
I just brush shoulders and then I move on usually.
Mhm.
They inspire me, or there's something whacks me, but I don't think there's a person whacking me. Yeah. 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 I saw someone, I liked Ramesh and I didn't want to sit there for 7 months. Just came in, listened to him, things happened. Great, move on. I think Nisargadatta was trying to clean house all the time. People would be there for 2 weeks. He thought that was too long. Get the fuck out of here. Of course, he didn't say that, but get out of here. Yeah, you got it, move on. Yeah. Now, if you're gonna follow that, just send me a big donation first, and then that will work for both of us. I'm in Marin County. My cave has insulation. All right. Anyone else? Judy?
BEME has their hand up. You just need to unmute.
Oh, BEME from Chico. All right. Can't hear you. Gotta go. Put it on.
You need to unmute BEME.
Trying, I think. Trying to figure it out. We'll come back to you, BEME. Yeah. Let's go to Jamie and Barbara, I guess. Or whoever was next. I'm Judy. Yeah.
Erin is next.
Oh,
Erin
Erin.
Brown.
Bring on Erin.
Hi, I'll be nice and quick. I just want to say thank you, and that the Douglas Harding stuff was really helpful for Tobias and I, but separately from Paul's message. And personally, for me, I saw a lot of before this message, like trying to get something, and I really appreciate that. I really have understood there's nothing to get, and seeing what I'm not has become so nice and easy. And an example of something that happened yesterday, Tobias and I have been reaching out into the community to share some of the, it's not like Douglas Harding and it's not what you say, Paul, but it's similar. It's along the same lines, to share it with our community. So we put on this event, this public event, and it was free. We didn't know who would show up. We did a little advertising, but not much. And so maybe 10 people showed up, and not worrying about like how the message was going to come out, just kind of getting in a position to be used. And it was great. And then afterwards, someone asked me, did it go the way that you had expected it would go? And immediately there was this great relief, like, one, it doesn't matter what I'm not expected it to go. And then just celebrating that there wasn't a lot of seeing a character in time, a way that something needed to happen, and then being disappointed that something didn't happen. It was like all that me in time has been seen to be just kind of collapsing in a way that can be trusted, that can happen often enough that I'm not just going to do nothing. I used to kind of think if I'm just seeing what I'm not all the time, maybe I'll just have a really boring, or I won't be speaking to people anymore kind of life. But it's actually, there's a lot more energy to just kind of go with the flow and still have a really good time and connect with people. And there's just not a lot of thinking about me tomorrow and how something's going to go. There's a lot less energy burned, thinking in time. So I'm just so grateful for your message. And it's not apathetic like maybe what I'm not used to worry it would be. It's just what it is. And it's mostly really good. And selfing still happens, and it's not bad. It's just, it's mechanical. So just want to say thank you.
Let's say if you called someone and you said, about 3 o'clock, I'll see you. And then they came and then you weren't there till about 4 o'clock, 4:30. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get upset. But see, this is thinking. Thinking is about stuff.
Right.
It's not the stuff. It's not the event. It's about stuff. So its idea, it can't capture any living event or project a future event because it's always about something. It's not the something it's about. It can't. Thinking cannot do it. Thinking cannot take the place of a life, because that's the beauty of life. There's always unsuspected interactions and vignettes and all this stuff. It's incredible. The thinking doesn't have that flavor. It's about stuff. Yeah. Gives you a vague idea with great assurance. So it sounds like it has incredible confidence, but it's a failed system. Yeah. So the beautiful part is when there's been thinking about what was going to happen that day, and then what happens that day is not even close to because the thinking can't get close to it because it's about, it's about 50 or 40. It's very, and this is the difference between living and interpretation. Interpretation maybe has 50 algorithms, let's say. So everything can only be interpreted through 50 algorithms, while living has 800,000 algorithms. But the thinking doesn't have 800,000 algorithms. It has an amalgam of some fucking programming, and there you go. So you see a lot of shit as you've seen past stuff. As it says it, we see everything new, but when it goes through this little fodder machine, it's old. As the Course would say, you see only the past. And the past is about shit. You can't go to that. You can't. About is not specific. About is about 3 to 4. It leaves a lot of room because it's not surgical or specific. It's it's clumsy, and it looks at 800 things and it reminds it of 5 things.
Yeah.
So
And it's stale.
Yes,
It's just
it's
stale.
yeah. So And the great part about it is you can have fun seeing how wrong it is. Yeah. So yeah. Today I didn't think anyone was going to show up at the live thing. This is not a new thing in the thoughts. It's now I've been doing this for 30 years. It's thought of it many, many fucking times. And then there's always a vignette shows up and it just happens. And it's part of the whole event now. The unspecific aboutness from the head. It's like a wealth of comedy material. Yeah, I mean, because it sounds so specific, but it's not. Yeah, I know exactly what it's going to be like. No, you fucking don't. You know what I mean? And then, but see, if I do something seemingly based on it, or I don't, I'm not the one who did it or didn't do it. Yes, that's the good news. This isn't a way of getting more surgically clearer. It's losing interest. So
Yes.
it goes, your aperture, which has been stuck on myopic and stuff. And so myopic and about are really off point. Yeah. So if you're super myopic, yet you can't get really specific, it's all about. That's like cloudiness upon cloudiness. Yeah. So it's sort of basically blind, legally blind. And it's just trying to walk through the day like, touching everything to get a braille message or something. It's the blind leading the blind. Yeah, it's crazy. So this aperture, when the interest and attention leaves this preoccupation, you enter a panoramic where space is truly emphasized while you're looking through it. So when you're getting to the object that's in the space that you are looking at, like the truck or something, or Jeff, there's a lot of interest in the space that you're looking through. Yeah. So the agenda has changed. You didn't do it because you had no idea. But you can it's expressing and you can observe something. And so now you recognize there's a value and an acknowledgement that the myopic doesn't have. Yeah. And the panoramic can actually be super clear and very specific about the myopic, though the myopic can't be, which you would think the myopic would be because it's closer to everything seemingly, but it doesn't see shit. Yeah. So the panoramic can see the myopic. And when you see the myopic from the panoramic, what arises in you is you're not that. Yes. Hallelujah. That's all. Yeah. And because it's true, it's not like something you have to constantly repeat. Truth doesn't need to be constantly repeated. The truth needs to be repeated until the work of the truth is done, which is it's now showed the false evidence of what was appearing to be real. As soon as that's in place, there's no chanting, no nothing. You've seen it. So at one point, you're still sort of blind, and you're thinking you're seeing it, but then there's a point you're seeing it, and you're like, I'm not that is actually true. You're not that. I mean, you've wanted not to be something that seemed really true. Like, I'm not a fraud, but you are a fraud and all this. But in this case, this I'm not that really lands because it's true. You're not that. And that is a broad, it can encompass anything that you notice or see appear. I'm not that. You don't have to greet everything with it. You greet stuff with it when you to the point where the truth is left to be the truth. Yeah, there's no more there's not enough interest and attention in the falsehood to argue with it. So there's just a submittance. You submit, and there you go. It happened with me all of a sudden with drugs and alcohol. I got struck sober, and the process condensed very quickly where I just saw two things. One was I'm fucked, and the other was, and I'm not managerial quality. And there was no commentary, nothing. It was just a
Mhm.
declaration of something through something, and something got it. Yeah. And then that day, that night, I ended up at an AA meeting as a deal to have a place to stay. And AA was what I needed for this miracle to extend. And so it has for 36 years, healthfully too. It's doing great. The problem doesn't exist for me today. That's fucking incredible. I mean, that's heavy lifting without showing any chiseled look. Yeah. Yeah. So non-duality was just like if I had an opinion and I would meet some people, I would say to some people, I would go the surrender route. Yeah. Just admit that you're outmatched, you can't pull it off, and yeah, there you go. Other people, hey, you're right there. You can sense the origin of the misery and to see you're not the origin. It's foreign. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. Nothing right or wrong with any of them. But at certain points, uh, there's a lot of the action figure. And if that's the case, surrender, I think, is much more viable, where you just admit, hey, I can't pull it off. Not like I've got to buckle down and start pulling. No, just say, fuck. Flag goes up, no mas. Yeah. And then you'll see you learn things that you didn't think you could know, and all this shit happens. And then you may get to a point where you're more adapted to to looking at the origin of the misery. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is just talking from the action figure point of view. The easier way is surrender to me, because it was obvious in my life. I spent 2 years in a program 24/7. And whatever opinions I had of it and everything, I had to begrudgingly admit one thing, that my life looked better with them running it than me running it. And they didn't have a huge vested interest in Paul having a great life. Not anywhere near close the vested interest I had. And then I saw the real dilemma is the vested interest. I saw it. I could look at anyone in this room, not everyone, but most of you, and turn my will and life over to you, and you do a better job with it than I do. Yeah, that's an interesting recognition. It is, because you've assumed that you're your main promoter, but actually, in a lot of ways, you're not. Really. And so all these things are these misunderstandings that have their greatest influence without us knowing it. So when you're brought to the awareness of it or an understanding, and I humbly believe the clearest understanding to me is non-duality of this whole. When you get some of the shit cleaned up on the external of the action figure, non-duality is such a beautiful, seamless, because it goes the path of negation, not affirmation. It assumes that you are the affirmation already, and therefore there's a negation of things that are not making that obvious, yeah, or making something else seem obvious that aren't, yeah, and that make total sense to me. And it's never, that seamlessness in the message has never broken. It made a weird turn over the years of hearing it, so that's why we're here, putting it out, hopefully. Same way. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else, Judy? Oh,
Yes, I think BEME figured out how to unmute, and I apologize, I didn't direct you to the lower left corner audio.
No
okay.
sweat. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Paul. Haven't seen you in a long time. I first bumped into you in 2008, and you were doing the thing in person outside the church, I think it was, on a Saturday.
Yes. Marin
Somebody
City.
hosted at their house. Yeah. Really, really, really sweet people. Your message was too undiluted for me. So it's taken me 16 years to hear what you always say. Like I heard a lot of the same analogies and the same stories that you were saying in 2008, but
Yes.
now I now they're being heard. It's a bit intimidating. I put it in the chat. My phone's going to die here right quick. I'm going to send you a donation as a thank you for doing what you're doing. It sounds to me like what I'm experiencing is just a lot of the action figure flipping out. I got a boost from you can file it under metaphysical healing. This woman did something for me. Stuff started kind of busting open where you're walking around in the world and you're just not troubled by anything. And it's beautiful, but it's also terrifying because you're used to flipping out. You're used to reactivity. And so now the action figure is saying, you better fucking watch out. You could be snapping right now. You could be losing your mind. Hey, you're those thoughts that you're noticing, they seem a little superior, don't they? Do you think you're special now? This is the kind of stuff that's happening alongside the wonderful, beautiful opening. So what I put in the chat was, is this something that happens to people sometimes when,
Yes.
okay, a lot of fear-based, look out, you're not
system,
special.
when the system is threatened, it gets louder. It tries to grab more attention, so it screams louder. Yeah, but it's not of you. Yes, it's a typical thing.
Is there a practical kind of, simple response when it's doing it? Like it's easy for anyone to say, well, just don't pay attention to it. That's not always
Yes.
a workable solution in every moment.
Well, if it seems to get too much, I would do service.
Okay.
Volunteer your time to someone else or something else. Hopefully not family oriented, but strangers. I find service is the best divine proctologist. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that started happening naturally, that all of a sudden people that I don't know are telling me their problems. Nobody talks to me because I've been edgy and bitter most of my life, because this particular action figure, however you want to phrase that, hated itself. So I couldn't talk to people, even though my job was a social worker. All I could talk to were people that were supposedly chronically, hopelessly mentally ill. They were the people that never judged me. I was fine hanging out with them. But now people are coming up to me and telling me about their divorces and their kids are on drugs, and homeless people are coming up and saying, hey, buddy, what's up with you? How you doing? When I'm asking them how they're doing. So I just find myself like, I maybe I buy someone lunch. Maybe I just listen to their story. Maybe I have an extra pair of pants that happen to be in my car and I pass them off to somebody. But then the head jumps in again and says, who do you think you are?
But Chico, you'll get used to that. The head's mechanical. So it's reacting like it would anything else. If something is seen as a threat, it reacts in this kind of manner. It's something that seems to go along with its master plan. It's fucking consents for it to go. Yeah. So a lot of times, something's working is when the bottom of the sea gets shook up. Yes. So when the bottom of the ocean would get shook up, you wouldn't see clearly for a little while. But this is what happens. Then it's going to settle and it's going to be put in a different formation. So this is what it's sort of like rewiring and stuff. So there's some things happening and the action figure needs to have its wiring changed to express it. And so you're going through something and the system's barking, and just like the dog barks, and yeah. But the point is it's not you, it's not of you. It's really barking at you. Yeah. So that always helped when I had, when this stuff started to occur.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had an events with the energy, and then the energy combined with the yapping. But see, if something is in mortal terror for a continual long time, it changes. It becomes sort of weird. No, it's almost becomes ordinary, and you
Okay.
realize I really was very obvious that that which was talking to me wasn't me. Yeah, and so some of that stuff you just don't act out, and you don't. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
act out, you don't die. For me,
Yeah.
if you want to keep yourself busy, distract from listening to the voices, you do service, or you
Okay.
watch Bloodline, or you read Nicholas Nickleby. There's tons of stuff. You can put
Okay.
the monkey mind on a pole and have it go up and down, and you'll
Okay.
get some relief. Yeah, and then, but all the while recognizing it's not you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So it can yap and yap and yap. What it really wants is for you to do something that it's implying. Yeah. The genie, while it's yapping, the genie's still in the bottle. It wants to get out of the bottle because it has more than 3 wishes for you.
infinite number of wishes.
It can't do it within the bottle. It's got to get out. That means you have to act on some of the shit you're hearing. Yeah. And if you don't, get stopped, literally. Yeah. If something cries wolf fucking 800 fucking times, there ain't no wolf. Yeah. So you just fucking realize this is how the emphasis of you're not that signifies a shift of interest. While the interest, it's like being in two different gravitational fields. The old field. To break the old field, there's a drag. You've got to have some propulsion to get out of the old gravitational field. And what will happen, even when you break out of the old gravitational field, you're going to get messages from the old gravitational field. It's gonna act as if it has you in its gravitational field by the way it talks, but it doesn't have you anymore. Yeah, it doesn't have you anymore. It's lost control in a sense, and now you are being pulled by the other gravitational field. Ramana Maharshi would talk about it as you're already inside the tiger's mouth. Yeah, it's not like you're outside thinking, should I? No, you're already in there. So the gravitational field has already been broken, and now the rockets are proving unnecessary, and now you're going to be like in a jet stream. You just don't listen to fucking Captain Tom. Hello, this is Captain Tom. No, it ain't. Or for you, it would be Captain Chico or
Captain Brett.
Captain
Yeah.
B.
Beanie.
You hear Captain B? Ooh, no, it's not. But now you don't respond. It's Captain Tom, Major
All
Tom,
right.
going down.
Yeah, Major Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, Major Tom's going to become a minor Tom.
I love it. I got to hang up, man. My phone's going to die.
All right, bro.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, check us
Thanks
out.
for your good work.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Can't help myself.
Love to you.
Wanted it to be
Thanks.
bad work. I did, but I kept getting arrested. I went to the good side.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Nice to see you. I got one of
You
my
too.
my friend Jeff is here. Every time I see Jeff, he comes from Baldwin, Long Island, right next to Rockville Center, Long Island, where I grew up. Now he's a younger person, but he knows what it was like back there. It's insane. So nice to see Jeff. I'm always wishing him the best. I don't think he wants the best for himself though at times.
A lot of us at times don't.
Ah, yeah, there you go. All right.
It's getting better.
Yeah, much better. All right, anyone? Hey,
R.R. Boom has his hand up, Paul.
who's this one? Oh, R.R. Boom. All right, bring R.R. Boom.
Paul Hedderman, can you hear me?
Yes.
You still recognize me, or am I a little bit more gray?
I'm looking, let me see you. Come into the light.
From Bonaire.
Remind me of
From
who.
Bonaire, the island in the Caribbean.
Oh, Bonaire, my man. Oh, yes.
Yes.
How are you?
Been a long time.
Oh, it has been. Oh, what a nice see. I thought I knew what I was going to be doing, and there one of my old friends showed up. Fantastic. How
Yeah,
are
it's good.
you?
Good, good, doing good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I was just watching a video, and then I saw down that the Zoom call, so I just clicked on the Zoom calls to see if there's any dates there, and then it was live, so I guess I timed in on perfectly.
Oh, fantastic, man. Well, we're going to Italy on Tuesday for a couple weeks. You ever go to
Yeah.
Netherlands?
Yeah, I'm going to Italy in probably about 2 weeks as well, driving through to go to Sardinia.
Give me a call. Do you have I have the same phone number. We can WhatsApp or something.
Yeah, I'll send you something through some channel if I still have it. Should have it in the phone, and then we'll
Let
try
me
to
know
get.
because I'll call you later today.
Yeah, good. No, I'm leaving in an hour to the airport to go back to the Netherlands, but it would be lovely to meet up. Mirai would love to see you as well.
Yeah, get in touch, and we'll be in Italy till the 24th September.
Yeah, perfect. We're gonna go through there. We're gonna go to Sardinia probably. Yeah, so we're gonna go right through from Switzerland to Italy.
We're going to be in Pescara, which is on the Adriatic, directly east of Rome on the water.
Okay, that should be no problem. It would be good to see you again after so
Yeah,
many years.
very good. Be fantastic. It's such a
Yeah.
pleasure to see you.
Perfect.
But get in touch with me after this, yeah?
I will.
All right,
Good
thanks.
to see you.
Yeah. Judy Lovins. Very nice day. My Amelia knows I talked to her about you. And is your wife still around?
Yes, yeah, she's still around, but she's in Holland right now in the Netherlands.
Oh, I love her. And your
Yes.
sons, they're all right?
Yeah, they're old and they're out of the house. Yeah, so we're doing good. We're doing good. We can't complain at all.
Yeah, Bonaire. That was a
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah,
All
it was
right.
incredible to have you here. And
Give me
the beauty
What?
was that when you were in Borneo, we were giving the retreats basically with that, the beach retreats and everything and the talks. And what is so powerful about that experience for me was that usually when I'm in the presence with people that are identified with themselves as being, let's say, the person, right? And it's hard to try to hold the space for them. But when you came in and we were together, it was so much easier to hold that space of the seeing,
Yeah.
as opposed to the people who came to that event that we organized back then. It was hard. Usually it's really easy for people to revert right back to like being the sheep taking the wolf, the way you would say, right? They immediately revert back to this screen, like it's like an AI screen that just pops up like the Google Glass, and it's got all these messages that pop up, and it's trying to comment on your life as the person. And then these people just tend to go back so quickly to the identification with that. I am the sheep, thinking that I'm the lion or trying to find the lion. And when you were there, you held the space. It was really beautiful. I remember that week you were here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, now we're in a garage. I hope you get in touch with me later. I'd really like to talk with you.
I will. I'll get in contact to you, but I'll talk to you when I'm back in Holland because I have to be in the airport in 45 minutes. But I will get in contact with you and then we'll talk and then we'll try to meet in Italy.
Oh, you're going to go to... I couldn't hear you. Talk to me. I couldn't hear that clearly.
Yeah, I have to come closer maybe to the camera, to the laptop because I don't have a good speaker here. But I'll try to meet up with you in Italy because we're going to Italy in about 2 weeks ourselves.
All right, great. Fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. See you.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah. Judy Lovins, thank you so much for holding the space, Johnny. Erin B, nice to hear from you. Kerry, as always. Axel, we'll be seeing Axel too. He's gonna come down with a caravan from Germany. And you'll meet Vlad if you come near RR Boom. Vlad from Portugal will be dropping in. Can't wait to see him. And we got Roman and other people. So, all right, Jay, Canada, nice to see you. Jay has some beautiful music on the site if you want to go into the music part. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. We got Rico Cruz. Always a pleasure, Rico. Annette. Mike G. Jamie and Barbara. On both having no heads. John K. David Lowe. Nice to see you, brother. Mechanical Dave, remember, mechanical. Yeah. Susan H, as always. She's in Cape Cod still, eh? Nice. Zoe Banks. She's in Japan? The sushi's better, I guess. Yeah, for sure. Roman Mueller. Roman Mueller. I'll see you shortly. Eric and Vista, Dennis W. By the way, it's good to go to the website. I think on the event pages, they have all the schedule for the next few weeks. We'll be doing the Saturday talks, same American time. And we'll be doing the early Tuesday, Thursday recovery talks. Yeah, so it's all on the, just look up and they'll have, just read and it'll say if there's a meeting or not. Yeah, yeah. John K, always a pleasure, John. David Lowe, Susan Harris, Soren. Phone numbers, Jules on vocal, Ben, Holly, Andre. I think I got everyone. Another page, but whatever. Hey, Dennis W. Yeah, it's a pleasure, guys. So much. Thank you. And I love these guest appearances from the past. That was cool. All right, guys. See you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Thank